Beers and Banter, episode 12. Hold on to your butts, people. Have we got an episode for you? We've got Ash Barty, all the NRL and Origin, all the other Aussies overseas that are dominating, and so much more. Let's rip in. Dilsey, how's the weekend, bro?
Big Red, how are you, mate? Back again.
Not too bad. I'm a bit more chipper tonight. Where's my hat? I've nearly lost my hat.
Monday. Oh, hey, the old Titans hat goes on.
Back in the winner's circle.
It's got a bit of dust and dirt and mould and shit on it, but
it's all good, bro.
It's good to bring it out again.
Wow, what a weekend.
Mate, how good. Not much sleep on the weekend.
I'm struggling. I don't know how you're supposed to do it. Can't they put this World Cup on in the middle of the night or something so we can watch
Cup,
it?
French Open, F1s, it's all late at night and you can't miss it. But mate, we've got to start with Ash Barty.
Ash Barty, how good is that?
French Open, first French Open for an Australian in 46 years.
I'm going to correct you there.
48 years.
Dylan Alcott won it a couple of days earlier.
Yeah, good call.
He is going great guns, and I think we've got two tennis players there that we can really get behind. Ash Barty, Dylan Alcott, good Australians, dominating, letting their performances do the talking. I like it.
Yeah, good call. Forgot about him, Red.
Yeah,
I like
Dylan
it.
Alcott.
Well, it's not, he's actually so he did win the French Open, and I think I heard that this was the first time that the wheelchair tennis had been at the French Open. I think they're going to Wimbledon as well, which would be cool.
Yes.
But Dylan Alcott's, I think he's definitely won a handful of Grand Slams before. Definitely won the Australian Open early in the year, but we actually heard him speak there. What was that, last year?
That was really good.
At a luncheon, and what a great guy. What an awesome ambassador for Australia and tennis. And
funny bugger too.
Yeah, he was. No, he was good.
Had a pretty good Roger Federer story from memory.
He did. So, mate, that was... But Ash Barty, I actually watched... I watched the final. I watched a bit of the semi-final. I don't know whether you saw that or not, but the semi-final, she went 5-love up in not many minutes. Her opponent then managed to reel off 7 games in a row to win the first set 7-5. Then went on and broke her in the second set. Earlier was up 2-love, so effectively she's won 9 games in a row. And Barty looked gone. She was in all sorts, and to her credit, managed to turn it around.
Deep.
And I think, she's probably the closest thing we've had to Leighton Hewitt and that true, I guess, Aussie spirit. The harder it gets, the further you dig.
I'd like to think that we're not just bandwagon supporters either. We got on after episode 1 when we got in trouble from Grandma. She said, "Get on Ash Barty."
Grandma would have been happy last night.
We've been keeping track ever since. So,
but yeah, she's awesome for Australia. It's, as we've spoken about before, there's a few Aussie tennis players which you don't want to be associated with, but Ash Barty definitely flies the Australian flag and represents the country absolutely perfectly. So,
if the media is legit, they shouldn't even bother mentioning those blokes anymore.
Well, here's hoping, and we had Thompson, the young Aussie guy, did pretty well, but Barty's going to be hard to beat at Wimbledon too. I mean, she's very good on the grass as well, so I think she'll go fairly deep there in a couple of weeks' time. We
can look forward to that.
Just quickly before we leave the tennis, Rafa Nadal, 12th French Open. That's just
really
that's unbelievable.
I definitely wasn't staying up to watch that.
No, I didn't watch it, but 12 times now he's won the French Open. That's just when you look at Slater's won 11 world surfing titles. You look at other guys that have won. Tiger Woods has won golf tournaments 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, but that's a tournament, not world number 1 for 12 years.
French Open's a tournament.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Kelly Slater won 11 championships.
Yeah, world titles, yeah. But that's over the course of a year.
Yeah.
I mean, that's still an unbelievable achievement to win the same thing 11 times, or 12 times in this case.
It's all right, I guess.
I mean, you wouldn't see Slater. Slater hasn't won Bells or Gold Coast or any of those big tournaments. He hasn't won that individual tournament 12 times, so...
Oh, yeah, maybe not.
If you look at
have a look at Pipe. I reckon he would have won that a fair few times.
Yeah, I guarantee he hasn't won it 12 times.
Righto. Not a fan. Well, no, do you know what? He's not bad.
Not a fan of Rafa?
No, it just doesn't interest me. It's not. There's nothing there for
Don't
me.
like the tennis.
I used to. Do you know what? Do you know what burnt me out from the tennis? Just too many late nights following Leighton Hewitt deep into a 5-setter, only to have my heart broken right at the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I can't do it anymore. What about NRL? Can we talk NRL?
We can talk NRL. We talk Titans.
Should we cover the Origin first? Last Wednesday. How good was that?
It was awesome. It was, a lot of people thought New South Wales were probably just going to win 3 or 4 or 5 series in a row after last year.
Do you call one win a dynasty for the Blues, like dynasty over?
Oh, they probably like to think it was a dynasty, but I mean they were the younger side. They probably had a better side. Well, in my opinion, they had the better side on paper. And
I heard a really good. Someone put it really well, so I can't take credit for this, but the Blues turned up to play football. The Queenslanders turned up to play Origin.
yeah, it's probably not a bad call. I mean, I think looking back now, New South Wales probably had 3 or 4 or 5 passengers that they would have expected a lot more out of. Latrell Mitchell's probably the obvious one.
Yeah.
Addo Carr was fairly quiet. Dylan Walker was pretty much non-existent and got dragged in the second half. So, the guys that you saw on that New South Wales team list that you expected to stand up in the big game just didn't turn up. And
Massive field position battle, and I think that's you can blame their halves, but their forwards didn't show up. The Blues forwards were nowhere to be seen. You look at Gagai was catching the ball on the 30 and the 40 every set, so that means we were defending really well. The Queenslanders were pushing in, compressing in, and really making those first 3 hit-ups really hard for the Blues. And it was just they won that grind, that field position battle. And I think your halves can play off the back of that, whereas theirs were struggling.
yeah, and I mean the interesting thing for me was Queensland went into the Sheds at halftime down by 8, but I actually thought they were as good, if not the better team for that first half.
I was happy. That was weird. We were down by 8, and I was like, we got them.
Yeah. And then I noticed probably 15 minutes into that second half, we got a bit of a run on. You could hear the crowd start to really get behind them.
Yeah.
And at that point, it just looked like Queensland there was no way they're going to lose the game.
I thought Gagai was outstanding.
Thanks, Scoop. Was that why he won man of the match?
Did he? Didn't know that.
Yeah, he's a classic case of an Origin player. I mean, he's been pretty quiet all year with South.
As an old winger myself, I could feel that intercept coming. Like about 30 seconds before my intercept here, score runaway try, the Blues won't come close.
No way you played on the wing,
mate. I'm telling you.
The closest you got to the wing was the linesman.
Yeah, well, he stood next to me because I was on the wing, mate. I'm telling you now.
Never seen a winger 130 kgs.
No, I wasn't back then. I went from the wing to the forwards in an off season. It's not good.
But yeah, it was. Queensland obviously now in the box seat with a neutral game too. I think New South Wales will probably make a few changes. For me, Mitchell Pearce should come back into the side, and I reckon he's due. His form has been outstanding this year.
I hope so, because then we'll pump them, and then they won't know what to do.
I just think he's. Him or Maloney. I think you've got to bring. I mean, they're both of them. Well, Maloney in particular is an Origin specialist. He loves that big game.
Yeah.
Success follows him. But I think Pearce's form has just been phenomenal this year. Especially, Newcastle's now won 6 or 7 in a row, and he's pretty much guided them around. So,
what about Cherry?
Cherry was good.
Oh, Cherry, I would do anything. We'll edit that bit out. I think Queensland forgives. Certainly, I was very salty as a Titans fan when he backflipped.
You still haven't got over that.
No, well, I'm getting over it now. But do you know what? You can still see at the Titans the hole that was left by the house of cards that fell after he backflipped. We're still working our way through that.
Well, we've now got a big hole with Taylor not there.
Yeah. So is that a bit of a segue? They might call it through to the Titans.
How good is it when you turn up on a Monday and you've just beaten the Broncos?
I tell you what, the dog appreciates it.
If you didn't
The
win,
kids appreciate it when I come home from a Titans win.
if you didn't win any other game all year, you just want, as a Titans fan, you just want to beat the Broncos.
Yes.
I got RSI from texting all my Broncos mates.
Well, I was there at the game, did a couple of live crosses that our Facebook followers would have seen, but it was very good sitting in amongst all the Broncos fans. So, big question though. No Ash Taylor, no Cartwright, and we put the best team performance of the year together.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Roberts stood up again in Taylor's absence.
He's running the team.
AJ Brimson was good again.
Yeah. I think Brian Kelly had his best game.
Brian Kelly
for us.
played well. Yeah, I mean, it was a good overall team game. And obviously all the shit that we went through during the week with Taylor being out, Peachy wanted to go home. Obviously the coach under pressure, this current mid-season review that's going on. I think it was one of those games that everyone just...
I think the coach will stay under pressure. I saw a headline, on apologies, didn't get to read it, but it basically said the CEO is still happy with the long-term future, but no guarantees for Brennan. I think with Ash Taylor, it's one of those things people are, just bloody sack him. Do you know what? There's so much potential there. And the kid, there's something bothering him. So if he's got to get away, one or two things are going to happen. He's going to go away and realise he really loves football, and he's going to come back and he's going to start playing well. Or he's going to go away and realise he doesn't really want to play football anymore, in which case, free up the cash and we'll move on. But a mate of mine, and I've been knocking him, and my mate was knocking him, and he texted me and said, I reckon everyone needs to lay off Ash, otherwise, we're talking about mental health these days. Can you imagine the whole country thought you were overrated and overpaid? It was like when you were back working with me. Got him.
We won't go there.
Got him. That's
Definitely.
how everyone feels about me at work.
That's right.
Overrated and overpaid.
Well, you're definitely overrated. But
can you imagine if the whole country was commenting on your individual performance on a weekly basis?
The reality is too. I mean, was it 2 years ago? You had every club in Australia chasing him.
Yeah.
And everyone wanted to throw big cash at him. Obviously, we threw cash and kept him.
Yes.
From that point forward, he hasn't been anything like he was prior to that.
Is he still injured? Is he? Do you reckon he's carrying
I don't know if he's injured, but obviously the pressure, he's felt that pressure from signing such a big deal at a young age in a battling team that, he was basically signed and the team was then built. The future was built around him.
The bird in the biscuit tin, from the outside looking in, probably should have been danger signs when they announced Garth Brennan as the coach. How much of a impact? How much of that decision was Taylor saying, "I like this guy. I want this guy as the coach"? Do you think that spells trouble when the player starts influencing who we're picking as a coach?
I don't know how true that is, but from all reports,
well, it was obvious when he signed on that there was a relationship there between Brennan and Ash, and because Brennan came out of left field, I'd never heard of him until the Titans announced him as a coach.
Yeah, but how did Ash Taylor have a relationship with Brennan?
Through Roberts, I believe.
Right.
So he was mentoring him off to the side in the background. He was communicating with Garth Brennan. He turns up, the team's struggling. You've got a guy that potentially owes his coaching position to the halfback who's struggling. How does that dynamic work?
Yeah, I don't know the details behind that, but similar to what you're saying, I mean, we had Neil Henry previously.
Yeah.
Now, from all reports, it was basically Neil goes or Ash goes at that point in time when they made that decision.
Was it Neil? Was it Ash or was it Jared Hayne?
Well, he was obviously going anyway at that, I think that didn't work clearly and he was out the door. But
I thought it was more Hayne that influenced that decision, and then Hayne walked out on us as well.
And lost both of them.
Good riddance to Hayne.
I thought Neil Henry was probably going to be a good coach for us.
I want a coach that's just going to walk in and demand excellence. How do we get...
That's what Mal Meninga's there for.
Yeah. Big Mal.
And it'll be interesting to see what comes out of this mid-season review. we touched on it last week, but for me, it's hard to understand how you get 10 or 11 or 12 rounds into the season and your season's gone to shit and then you decide to do a mid-season review.
Yeah,
Should that not happen should that not be every week?
I don't know what he's reviewing though. Yeah, that's what I mean. I thought that was his job was to continually monitor that. I don't know. Hey, we've gone down a path. I'm happy. We've won them.
Well, at the end of the day, we beat the Broncos. That's the main thing right now.
We've lost Proctor though for a couple of weeks. I thought he was one of our best on the weekend. Just tackled anything within his. Yeah. He's playing 80 minutes now, and just that solid second row performance where anything that comes near him, he tackles it.
He's been good all year for us. He's been, he gives 100% every week and stands up. Obviously, Jairo was good again, backing up.
Yeah.
I thought Wallace was okay again.
No, well, he was, but he made a couple of
errors. But I thought he was okay.
Yes, yeah.
The one for me, the big positive out of probably this season, and in particular the last 4 or 5 weeks, is that Arthur's. I think he's been a good find.
I actually didn't notice him yesterday, so I must have missed him.
His last 2, 3, or 4 weeks since he's come in the side's been really good. I think he's got a pretty good future there.
Yeah. They signed Whitbread for another couple of years.
Whitbread just re-signed.
Nathan Pete's back actually yesterday.
Pete's was back.
That was a big inclusion.
That was
I think
a good in.
Yeah.
And I guess it'll be interesting to see what happens with Peachy. I'd be very surprised if he's not gone before June 30.
Well, they poured a bit of water on that over the weekend. That maybe it's not going to happen by June 30, but I don't think he's playing for us next year.
No.
Do you know what? If we pay any of that bill, I'll be pissed. There's no way the Titans should be shipping any of that or covering any of his contract for next year. He either wants to play with us or he doesn't. So if you don't, give up the money and head back to Penrith.
Yeah. Well, we've spoken it before on the show, but if he doesn't want to be here, piss him off now.
Yeah.
I'd rather him not play at all.
It felt like we were forcing him to be here in the start. So
absolutely. He didn't. There was suggestions as soon as he signed at the end of last year he didn't want to come up here. So
anyway, Titans back in the winner's circle. I reckon they can string a few together.
What about James Roberts? Did you see any of it? Excuse me.
Played all right actually. Scored a try, couple of line breaks.
I thought he was a little bit quiet, but he struggled to get in the game a little bit.
He would have had 3 line breaks and a try.
Yeah, towards the back end, but through the middle there, the middle part of the game, I thought he was a little bit quiet. But
what was that? That game turned back. The clock was back to the 80s. Headbutts, punches thrown, 4 sent off.
4 sin bins.
That was good. I liked it.
Yeah.
What about Sammy Burgess? He was having surgery this week. I reckon he just went, bugger it, let him fly.
Yeah. I'm not going to be playing anyway.
I'm not playing anyway. Do your worst.
Miss a couple of recovery.
Get that into you. Before we move off NRL, it's obvious. The obstruction rule is a joke. I can't make it out. I watched one on the weekend and the defender didn't even must have been Cowboys Manly. Morgan goes around a player. The defender doesn't even try and tackle him. And they call the player back?
Yeah, I mean,
that's bullshit.
Well, that's the issue you got with that rule now is the defender can almost make it look, they can almost intentionally get impeded with the attacking player and they get the call go their way every time.
I reckon take it back to under 8s. If you run behind your player, it's an obstruction. If you don't, it's game on.
Yeah.
Because basically, if you... I don't know, I'm not inside an NRL club, but to me, if I'm coaching defence, I'm going, make sure you're hitting them with your outside shoulder. Because as soon as they make contact outside shoulder, it's an obstruction.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean
otherwise the block play disappears. You're not going to have decoy runners, and the game will be boring as batshit.
The hardest part for me with that rule is the consistency. I mean that they're obviously trying to make it consistent by almost giving everything instruction whenever there's any form of interference, they call obstruction. But it seems like they've almost gone to the extreme to rule it out of the game. But yeah, it's every single call's hard to, it's a hard one.
Hey, I want to get Jaffa on the phone. And can you get us a beer? Is that all right?
Yeah, I'll get a beer. Corona?
Yeah, yes, please. Do you know why they put that lemon in the top?
No, tell me.
Keep the flies away. Oh, no. What's happened here? Junior.
G'day, boys.
Oh, he's there. Sorry, I'm doing all the technology myself this week, Junior. Timmy's not here, so I'm doing the dials and hosting the show and doing all the jokes and.
Hey, you run the show. Dylan doesn't really do all that much, does he? He's like Michael Slater when he came into the footy show and you're fatty. You run the show, mate.
The best thing is 2 metres from a microphone and he's struggling at the moment, so that's good.
I'm just getting beers, Junior.
Yeah, good work. How's the week, boys?
It's funny that you said Big Red's like Fatty because it's every week I sit here, I think I'm on the set with Fatty Vorton.
Yeah.
That's that splitting image. How are you,
nothing
mate?
wrong with that. Yeah, good, boys. Good. How's the week?
It would have been better if the Jaffa had got up.
What's doing? I was flying on the weekend. Titans win. Aussies overseas performing well, and then the car ride home.
I know.
Check the
Jaffa's
AFL.
horrible. I have to apologise. I think it's our first one where we missed the mark for the year. I think we really missed the mark there.
Do you know, that is probably the only blemish. The other ones that we've gone down real narrow. That was
You can't win them all, Junior.
What's that?
You can't win them all.
No, that's right. But we hope to. Yeah. No, it's a bit frustrating. I think Swans were actually, they had injuries all over the place. I think the Eagles had late. Someone withdrew late. Didn't fly over with them. But anyway, we won't worry too much. We'll keep moving forward. I think it's a good week. How good were the Titans? I mean, so there's 2 Ashes in Australia. There's Ash Taylor, who, see you later, mate, you're not coming back, and Ash Barty. How good was she? Yeah, we
started the show with Ash Barty. Pretty proud. Finally an Aussie tennis player we can get behind again.
That's right. No, it's great. And 3.73 million in the kitty for Ash Barty. Ooh.
Bit of small change.
Yeah.
She's a local
to Dylan.
Ipswich girl, yeah.
Ipswich, yeah. So, no, disappointing.
What about the Stradbroke, Junior? Did you find a win at the Stradbroke?
I had Tie Zone.
Ooh, second. Yeah, me too.
Trekking to Godolphin again. I think it's the second year in a row Godolphin have had the winner in the Stradbroke.
I was watching it, would you believe, on Saturday. I did watch a few races. Hard to believe, but I actually saw a stat. It's the first time in, I think they said 15 years or 14 years that a father and son have won a Group 1 on the same day. So Cummings' old man Anthony won a Group 1 earlier in the day.
Oh, he won the JJ,
the JJ,
yeah.
and
wow.
and then you go back, and the previous father-son combination to do it was Bart Cummings and Anthony Cummings. So,
oh wow,
the Cummings name lives on.
Big day. Yeah, that's a good little fact there. Yeah, James has done really well, and Anthony, I think he must have a small team now. Anthony,
he doesn't have
not many horses.
Yeah, he doesn't have many, but got the win in the JJ.
Did you see the carry on with all that? They seem like a good bunch of blokes that own that horse in the JJ. Yeah, apparently they're still going.
Yeah, I reckon they'd be on a bender for a while after that. They're pretty happy.
Which is good. So yeah, boys, big week again. I guess I've done a bit of research and we've got a Jaffa, and then I've had a look at the US Open as well this week.
Hey.
Oh, here we go.
And I've got two at a good value now. Our mate who doesn't want to be named, he has a bit of a chuckle, that I put his 100 on the worst tip of the year. I've sent him a message, and he's replied just before I come on. He said, "Lucky I like you. I'll donate another 100 to the Jaffa this week." So
what a legend!
That's awesome. When we finally get some merchandise, we'll make sure we can send some out to him. But
yeah,
at the moment we're spending all our spare cash on the Jaffa. So when we accumulate something, we'll get him out of stubby cooler or something. No, that's good news.
Yeah. No, that's good.
It does get regularly pointed out to me by my wife that if we just had banked the 100 every time, that we'd be nearly there. So,
well, there was a bloke that made a mistake. Remember, we had a whole heap. But anyway,
I am glad you brought that up, because I did really want to make sure that doesn't get forgotten. That we've pretty
it will
much,
never be forgotten.
We pretty much have not really recovered from that. Like we were soaring. I don't know, Junior. You'd picked like 5 in a row or something ridiculous, and.
All that hard work.
Yeah. What about the poor Burley nippers waiting for their 1,000? They'll be Burley seniors by the time they get it.
They know where I live, bro. It's not funny. Oh.
Oh, Dylan, you'll never live that down.
Anyway.
Anyway.
North Burley, we will get you the 1,000.
Yeah. So
Some
we've got
year.
100 this
Some-
week, boys, from our
At some
from our
point.
loyal listener. So what I thought we'd do is we'll play with 150 this week. We'll have the 100. We'll stick with the NRL this week, boys. The Jaffa between the Roosters and the Dogs on Sunday. And we'll go with, I think the Roosters, they come off back-to-back losses. They surely got to rocket up them this week. They've got a nice break into next Sunday against the helpless Dogs. So we're going to go the 100 on the Roosters at 13 plus at $1.90.
Yeah, I like
13 plus.
13 plus, yep. They'll
Jot
come
that
out
one
and
down,
flog 'em.
Fatty Fortin.
Yep, that's good. So, Queensy, you heard it, mate. Listen to that. That's the Jaffa. The Roosters 13 plus at $1.90.
Do we need to bleep that name out, Junior?
Queensy will love it.
Nah, he'll love it. He's a mad Dogs fan.
Loyal listener out of Sydney, old Clunes.
Yeah.
They've just,
Maybe not
he
anymore.
follows.
they've just been smoked by the Dragons.
What was the score? Is it still going?
I think it's done. 36-12.
Yeah, wow. So,
I like that
that's
one,
the
Junior.
Roosters.
I think they'll bounce
Yeah,
back, the Roosters.
Couple of losses. You'd think they'll be fired up this weekend. Origin teams get announced again on Sunday, so they should be just chomping at the bit.
I think so. And it's similar to, I know we backed the Storm after a loss.
Sorry,
that
you're
week.
into the horses. Is it chomping or champing? Chomping?
Chomping at the bit.
Chomping?
Chomping at the
Chomping.
bit? Champing at the bit?
Chomping. Chomping.
Whichever you like, Fatty.
Chomper. So I think it's similar to
That's
when
not
we
gonna
backed
stick.
the Storm.
It's not.
It might. So we'll go the Roosters 13 plus $1.90. So I have 100 there. Then I had a quick look through the US Open this weekend, which is always good at Pebble Beach, and I found two at a decent price. I've looked at the recent form, and as I read the recent form at Pebble Beach, there's a bloke, Brant Snedeker. His last sort of 5 starts at Pebble Beach are a fourth, top 25, a top 30, 2 wins.
Played good this week or just finished this morning?
And a fourth. Yeah, he finished fourth this week. So he's at $56, Brant Snedeker. So I'm going to, I'll have 25 on Brant Snedeker.
Jesus.
And then I'll go Patrick Cantlay.
Hey.
Who had a...
I like the look of that one. Yeah, he's been playing all right, I reckon.
Yeah, had the win at the at Jack's tournament.
At the Memorial,
Beat Adam, at the Memorial. And I think he's had 2/3 and like 3 top 10s this year. He's and back in 2013, I think he had a top 10 at Pebble Beach as well. So I'm going to have 25 on Patrick Cantlay at $21. That hopefully kicks the kitty off, and we can build that up again, boys.
That'd be nice.
It's interesting you say that, Junior, and I haven't tipped Cantlay to you, but I got a message a couple of weeks ago from we won't say any names, but he finished second to Cantlay at Memorial, and he suggested that, and this was after the first round, before Cantlay had actually won, he suggested that Cantlay was the man to beat at the US Open. So there you go.
Well, that's his biggest threat.
That was
he feels,
that was who he
He'll
thought.
finish second now.
Yeah.
Scotty will get up, hopefully.
Yeah, he'll do a cash.
But, I mean,
that's good.
Cantlay contended at the Masters, contended again at the PGA. Arguably, outside Koepka, one of the form players this year. So, what price is he? What do we got him at for the US Open?
US Open, he's at $21, and I think you might get upwards about 28 if you shop around. But $21 with the tab. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Well, as always, gamble responsibly.
Or not.
North Burley, hold tight. We will get you something at some stage, and he's hoping we get home and kickstart that kitty again.
Fantastic, boys. Yeah,
Cheer
we'll
for
watch
Snedeker.
that. We'll look after that. Thanks to our listener. I
Yes,
can't wait
thank
till
you
we can
very
name
much.
him, which is great. And happy punting, boys. Have a good week.
Righto, mate.
Thanks,
See you,
Junior.
Junior.
See you, mate.
Cheers, boys.
Right.
See ya.
There we go.
Tell you what, Snedeker gets up. We are really going good.
Burley going good.
Phew. What else you got?
So-
AFL?
No, so while we're
What do you want to
just
talk
on
about?
that, the US Open, just
Yeah.
obviously Pebble Beach this week, so third major of the year. Now they've changed the schedule, and I think we spoke about it earlier in one of the shows, but the majors are now condensed, so basically 4 months in a row there's a major each month, so they come around fairly
British
quickly.
Open in July.
British Open in
How many
July.
majors are there in golf?
4,
3 of them in the US.
correct, and the British Open.
All right.
So the US Open, Pebble Beach, one of the most famous golf courses in the world. Interesting to note that Tiger actually won a US Open there by, I think it was 14 or 15 shots back in the heyday. Always seems to play well at this
Is
course.
it always at Pebble Beach?
No,
Or is it just the
changes
Masters
every year.
that's at Augusta?
Masters is the only one that keeps
Righto.
the same course. But yeah, Pebble Beach this week, so it'll be great viewing. Obviously Rory won this morning in Canada by 8 shots, so blew the field away. He's obviously in good form. Probably due to put his name up again in another major.
Yep.
But yeah, for any golf followers out there, anyone that doesn't really follow it, this is an awesome golf course to watch. So should be a good week.
By the sea.
It is by the sea, right on the ocean. Yeah.
Nice spot. You right there, bud?
I think I'm dying.
Oh, stop it.
AFL, the real game. Big game on last Friday night, Geelong and Richmond. You would have seen that. You probably watched it, did you?
No.
Geelong started slowly. Richmond jumped
Was
out
the
the
grub
gates.
back this week?
He was
Did
back.
he play?
Who's the grub?
Ablett.
God, they call him. So yeah, he played. Geelong just keep plodding ahead. They're I think they're 2 or 3 games clear on top now. So clearly the team to beat. Richmond have really been hit with some injuries, so it'll be interesting to see how they're still hanging about in the top 8, but it just looks like they're starting to run in a puff with a heap of players out. Big game in Adelaide. Adelaide got up against GWS late in the game.
Where were they last week?
Yeah, well, they got up, but not by enough
Oh, that's right.
to get the Jaffa home. And now probably the other news, obviously Carlton sacked their coach during the week and they came out and beat Brisbane, which was quite a big upset. So, again, that whole new coach, sack the coach during the week and come out and win curse continues.
So it's funny, eh? It's like me back at school. Parent-teacher interviews would roll around and I'd start behaving myself the week before, but it was too late. Like, I used to hate parent-teacher interviews. It was the worst day of my
So did
life.
your parents.
Yeah, yeah.
They really hated it.
But the teachers are all on to me. They're like, Matt, come on, mate. You've been a pest for the last 6 months and you decided to behave yourself this week. I
It's
reckon
not like you being thinking you're a pest.
I reckon it's the same with the footage side, that basically new coach, they've got a new person to impress. Like,
Well, I mean,
what's the deal?
it just happens so often. I mean, North Melbourne sacked their coach 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago. They've won both games since.
Well, the Jaffa this week should have been on a team that had it with a new coach.
Well, I don't think anyone's been sacked this week, have
No,
they?
last week I meant.
But yeah, it's interesting because Carlton just, although they've been playing fairly good without winning for the last few weeks, probably no one expected them to beat Brisbane. And North Melbourne, their 2 games since Brad Scott got sacked have been really, really good. So I don't know whether it adds a breath of fresh air into a club or gives the players a kick in the arse, or
I just think they all sit up straight.
maybe that's a wake up call for the players that hey,
What
At the end of the day, it's the coach who always cops it.
what's the cliche when they sack the coach? He's lost the dressing room. So if you sack the coach and all of a sudden there's a new bloke to impress, do you think is that what it is?
Yeah. Or do the players go, we've now cost this bloke, we haven't been pulling our weight. We've cost this bloke his job.
Well, we sort of saw it. We went to Manly. Garth was under review and we put in a good performance. But it only lasted a week and then we come out and struggled against the Cowboys and then Ash is out and it's sort of like, did they lift again for Ash or, what was the...
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know what it is, but it just seems to happen
with
regularly.
professional sports, this NRL, it's that fine. Realistically, it is that fine between the two teams that, that you got 34 people out there that are professionals. It's that mental. Whoever turns up to really want it is the team that usually walks away with the chocolates.
Yeah, and maybe not so much in AFL, but definitely in NRL this year. I think it's a very open competition.
Yeah. Well, the Roosters been beat the last 2 weeks, and they looked unbeatable.
Absolutely, I think any team in the NRL could beat anyone can beat anyone on any day in the NRL this year, and the AFL is probably not far behind. I mean, Carlton, as you saw, Carlton at the bottom, and they beat Brisbane, and they've been competitive probably for the last month. So, I think it's probably credit to how even the competitions are.
Yep.
What about the cricket, the World Cup? Did you see any of that last night?
I watched a bit of the start. I was trying to. It was a busy night, mate. I was trying to flick between that and a bit of 60 minutes. It's like wrestling the remote off Missy.
60 minutes?
Yeah.
Over the cricket?
Yeah, there's a guy.
That'll do me.
Guy Sebastian special on
That'll
60
do
minutes. Me. And then the Matildas kicked off as well. So Matildas in their World Cup campaign, they've gone down to Italy. Bit of controversy over that. The game plan. New coach.
I didn't see much. Yeah, new coach, obviously, with all the.
Well, that's had the opposite effect there. They had a coach that, I don't know, was going all right for 4 years, and then they've sacked him. I don't know enough about that one, but yeah. Yeah,
I mean, it's interesting that the World Cup soccer comes around every 4 years, and this coach has obviously he's put 3.5 years into the preparation for the World Cup, and then gets shown the door 6 months out or whatever it was, 4 months out.
It was a busy Sunday night, and then the only saving grace was that the F1 was basically this morning. But cricket, back to the cricket. That's where we started. I noticed a couple of games ago when we played Afghanistan, we had them 2 for after 2 overs, and then they still let them make 200 runs. To me, that said that our bowling stocks are light on. I think once you get past Stark and Cummings, we're struggling. Yeah. And then last night, India, the opening partnership put on a Mozza. They make 360 or something. That's hard to chase.
Yeah, look, I don't totally disagree with the bowling attack, what you say, but, Cummings, let's not forget, Cummings was number 1 bowler in the world up until recently. And
I think our first 2 bowlers are. And
I think Stark's certainly one of the best bowlers in the world.
And
Zampa, I'm not 100% sure that Zampa's...
Lyon didn't play last night?
No, he didn't. Obviously, Zampa, the leg he played. Coulter Niles, solid without being, a superstar. There's probably the level that Coulter Niles on. There's probably another 2 or 3 guys at the same, which we could play any one of them.
We're playing Maxwell and Stoinis at the moment as well.
Yeah. Look, I think Stoinis is probably good at just sort of slowing up one end.
But he's not making enough runs.
No, he hasn't. He hasn't yet with the bat. But look, I think Stoinis and Maxwell are obviously the 2 all rounders there in the middle. I don't think it's alarm bells yet. I mean, India, their top 3 or 4 or even 5 is when you got the best batsman in the world at number 3, and he comes in at what were they 1 for 130 odd, 140.
That Darwin made 117.
Darwin made 117, but Kohli came in though. He came in at 100 and whatever it was, 120. They're always going to be in a good position from there.
Stoinis, Duck, Maxwell, 28. You can't carry 2 all rounders if that's all you're getting out of them.
No, you can't. But I mean, Maxwell probably, for me, Maxwell gets his head just above Stoinis because of his fielding. I mean, he's fielding, his bowling and his batting. He is the complete all rounder. Whereas Stoinis is probably, I think Stoinis is probably a bit better bowler, as good a batsman, but certainly Maxwell in the field, you've just got to have him there in a World Cup.
Yeah, fair enough.
The
big news out of that game was actually Virat Kohli. Who would have thought?
Standing up for an Australian.
Yeah. Obviously he has become the the villain when he comes to Australia. You know, he's obviously aggressive, and he probably does to Australia what we would in the past would have done to other teams, and he gets in their face. But showed some good sportsmanship last night, basically asking the crowd to stop the carry on. He doesn't believe that Steve Smith should be booed. You know, he served his sentence. He's sat out of the game. He's apologised and he's back. So there's no reason to carry on. So I just thought that was that's cricket.
It is, but I think that was 100% respect, or showed the respect that Kohli has for Steve Smith as a cricketer. And I heard his post-match interview, and like you say, he basically said that Smith had made a mistake. He'd said sorry. He was apologetic. He'd done his time.
Yeah.
Let's now move on and you know, appreciate what he does in the game. So, yeah, that was good from Kohli. Yeah, I mean there's a long way to go in this World Cup, but I still think we're right in the thick of it.
2-1's all right. Well, I think we spoke about that the other week. India definitely going to be there in the final four. So I think South Africans are none from 3.
Yeah, look, I think it's us, England, New Zealand, and probably India are the 4 to beat at the moment.
We probably got the rub of the green against the West Indies too the other night. They weren't happy with the umpiring.
Yeah, they weren't, but yeah, that's the way it goes.
Yeah. I didn't see a lot of the game. Matilda's down 2-1. We'll keep track of that over the next couple of weeks.
Just while we were on the soccer, I actually went out to Coomera.
Did you?
Went out to Coomera on Saturday night. So Coomera played Logan Lightning, old Wales team.
In the FFA Cup.
In the FFA Cup. So it was the winner went through to the last 32.
Yep.
So that's where they obviously then go into the national comp.
Yep.
So it was a pretty big game especially for Coomera being just a local side. Logan had been there. They got to the same position last year.
Yep.
But went down for a look. There was a pretty good crowd down in there at Coomera, and the Coomera Colts got up 2-1. It was
no way.
Yeah, so knocked out Whale.
Oh, Andy.
It was 2-0 at half time. They scored one just before half time, and then held on probably till 10 minutes to go. And Logan was starting to push pretty hard. They scored a goal off a pretty awesome strike. I was actually there with the kids, and right behind it there was an awesome goal. 2-1, and then Logan Lightning in the last 3 or 4 minutes pushed hard, but the siren got the better of them. So,
wow. So commiserations of Logan Lightning. The whole crew up there are big fans of the show. So
they are.
Sorry to hear that, boys, but big win for Coomera.
It was very big for Coomera. So on to the 32 in the FFA Cup.
Well, keep a track of that for us.
We will. We'll follow them.
Just about done. I just want to comment F1 this morning. Once it's in Canada, woke up at about 5.
Montreal.
Yeah, just to watch the back end of that race. Bit of controversy. Hamilton finished second. Vettel first.
Grub.
Which one?
Vettel.
Talk about not letting things go.
Grub.
Yeah, no. He's
What's he done now?
So basically, he went off the track and then regathered and then cut Hamilton off. So what he's supposed to do is stay off the racing line when you come off. So he's cut the corner, but he's veered off to the right. So Hamilton had to hit the brakes. Essentially, held his position and then continued on. First past the post. But what happened is the stewards give him a 5-second penalty. As Vettel does, he spat the dummy. Didn't park his car where the normal podium guys park. Disappeared into the corporate Ferrari centre. Had to be retrieved from there. Came out, shifted the sign from the front of, they put the first, second and third up the front of the cars. He shifted 1 into the blank spot and 2 in front of Hamilton. Essentially, most of the commentary, most of the ex-drivers said probably shouldn't have been a 5-second penalty because he had to do what he did. But
so who won the race?
Well, officially, Hamilton wins the race. Bit of sportsmanship there from Hamilton too. He pulled him up onto the top step with him at the podium, but he can do that, and it's easy to be the nice guy, but he still banks the 25 championship points and the official win.
Couldn't happen to a nicer grub.
I'll never forget when he overtook Mark Webber under team orders to turn the engines down. But anyway,
He is a knob.
UFC over the weekend. I didn't get to see a lot of it because it was pay-per-view, but Cowboy Cerrone, who I've been following a little bit, a bit of a veteran in that sport, bit of a champ. His eye was all puffy and he looked like he had a broken nose at the end of the second round, coming out for the third. And he just went to blow all the blood out of his nose and his eye popped and popped up like a big balloon, and he couldn't continue on in the fight. So it was...
Oh, that was it, all over.
Yeah, they called it. So he lost that to Tony Ferguson, but I wouldn't be surprised if you get a rematch there.
Fergo.
Tough as nails, those two blokes. But, it was just... check it out online. It was... he was trying to get someone to push his eye back in.
Oh.
It's not bad. Well, I don't know. I think
that's a wrap.
We've waffled on for enough tonight. What do we got? Nothing?
That's it. I think we're done.
Appreciate all support. We're getting lots of love on the Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Follow us on. You can subscribe on the podcast app. Subscribe on YouTube or Spotify. We really appreciate it when you share the show. So please do so. And at Beers and Banter. We'll see you all next week. Thank you.